Ah! 8:30 in the morning. He's already on YouTube. Tuesday morning here. Gonna get this one on the dyno today. Single jingle with the turbskis. Shadow's all excited about that one. Not really. He wants some food and a snack. Then we got this SI in. Came in for a Flash Pro install and a base map. On the way over, the clutch let go. We believe it to be the clutch. Goes in gear, does not go nowhere. When it tries to go somewhere, it locks up. I'm gonna take that apart this morning and figure that out. Shady, you want a snack? Want a snack? Clutch is out of the SI. It's more than the clutch. Clutch is toast from the transmission being screwed up. Got some heat in it, but eats a hole. Something beat around in here too. Probably that piece that. Hold up, that's like a cut from a grinder. There's two of them. There's something stabbed into that. What are we missing? Something's missing. To be continued. Well, something's been beating around in here. It's pretty obvious. And if you look at the pressure plate, it's the same way. All the bolts were in it. Jeremy said he pulled it apart, so it wasn't a bolt. There's a bunch of wear on the pressure plate where the release bearing belongs or goes. Nothing's fell out of the clutch disc. I don't know, something beat around in here. They didn't have no boot right here, which is common. I see that a lot. I don't know, maybe a bolt fell down in there. Something has gouged the cover, and I believe they have run all the fluid out of it because they didn't know it was leaking, and that's why it's wet in here. And customer thought they needed a rear main seal. This would be why. It wasn't the rear main seal, it was transmission fluid. But I guess as of now, I'm gonna get this transmission apart and see if it's salvageable. I got some cases from the old race car days where I used to break them left and right, so we could either weld this case up or replace it if the inner workings are going to be savable. If not, we'll probably just opt for him to get another transmission. Alright guys, she's apart. And guess what I didn't do? Drain any oil out of it. Guess what, there's not any of it in here except for that little bit. Oil. This bearing right here is locked up. Well, for the most part it did just free up kinda. She's pretty rough. That one's decent. I just have to tear it all apart and make sure everything's salvageable and not all scarred up for future use. Pull the diff out of here and all that. But this is gonna set till we talk to the customer because we're gonna need some money. Definitely needs a clutch. That one got hot. And we're gonna need some money for some bearings and stuff. I need to just make sure we're on the same page because the customer had no idea what was going on here. So we learned something. We're just gonna relay the message and see where it goes from here. But as for now, Jeremy's on something else and I'm gonna jump on tuning this Civic right here. I have a little D-Series Vitar setup, Holstead HX35, stock manifold, throttle body. Mac valve on here will be tuning on Neptune. We're just going to turn it up and see what it'll make. I don't really know where we're going to stop. I know that intercooler is a restrictive type. Good old eBay. But we'll see what she does. Guys, I fucked up. Did the base pull and didn't think about picking the camera up. Started fresh here with a new map. She went pig rich up top. That's 20 psi, made 280 horsepower, 223 foot-pounds of torque. Went really rich up top. So I'm gonna pull some fuel out and leave everything else the same. But just to go over this, we have a D-Series Vitar build here. Does have a cam in there. I'm not sure what he's got in it. Stock intake manifold, stock throttle body, eBay log manifold, eBay wastegate, Holsit HX35. Customer, I think, wanted 400, but I do not see that being possible, so we're just going to squeeze what we can out of it. Air feels a little better. It's time to start turning this thing up. But that pull was 296, 233 foot-pounds of torque. Dyno's reading 20 psi. We're getting 19 in the car. Gonna turn this Mac valve on. All right, went to lunch. Belly's full. Got some heat back in this thing. Gonna try a pull, see if the boost goes up this time. Boost went up that time, but it fell off abruptly. Just never mind all this ziggy zaggy shit, fucking dyno jet. But it fell off abruptly right here. Yeah, it's because the vacuum line blew off and we lost boost. So I'm gonna secure the vacuum lines on here. We're just blowing them all off, popping lines. Boost to go up. Old boost, new boost. We want that new. But reading 22 psi on the dyno. We saw 21 in the car, and that yielded 314 horsepower and 249 foot-pounds of torque. I'm gonna try to get it at 350 mark, and I think that's where I'm gonna stop, unless it just all of a sudden starts making more jam very easily. %, more duty cycle on the boost controller, did not yield much more. I think this turbo setup is just, it's out of efficiency. We're gonna keep trying though, one more try. Give it a lots of duty cycle. for this little single jingle. Vitar setup. Just couldn't make no more boost out of it. What you see there is all she's got in it. There won't nothing I can do about that. It's just not efficient. Air fuels are safe. That's all we can get out of PSI. Once again, that's our final number. 323, 253 per torque. Clean power graph, nice and smooth. Rolls over up top. Really needs a better exhaust manifold on it. Turbo wouldn't hurt, but at the minimum it needs an exhaust manifold, an intake manifold, and a throttle body, I believe. Damn cell phone. Alright guys, we got something a little different on the dyno today. Something I've never messed with. The Auto Tragic. We have a 4-door LS Integra automatic transmission. I'm not going to take the computer out of it just yet and put my hardware on it. We're going to do a base pull. I want to see what the gains are. It's on a chip DCU right now with a base map, but I've been told it's safe to do a base pull on, so we're going to give it a shot. Fuels at wide open throttle were a bit rich. This dotted line I got up here represents 12.1, so we got to pull fuel out of it all the way across. That dotted line was there from yesterday in the turbo car. So, but to the power, 115 power and 102 torque, and that's a smooth graph, way better than I thought. So that's on the chip computer that he bought with a base map that was supplied. And that was with me putting it in D2. I was going to use D3, but it would not stay in third gear. It kept wanting to go to overdrive every time I smashed it to the floor. So we're gonna stick with D2. I'm gonna put my tuning computer in here and we're gonna keep on going at it. Guys, had to turn the intake up because the intake temps were just getting way too hot. That was my way of keeping it cool and more consistent. Our base pull, the intake temps, the car was cold. All I did was let the water temps get up to temp. I've been tuning it, getting the air fuels right and everything. Intake temps got up to 135 degrees, so I propped it up so the fan can get to it. Stays around 110 now. But our base pull ended up being 119 for power and 105 torque. Still the nice, same, clean power band. My air fuels are good, but I don't know why. Sometimes the dyno just freezes. Just never mind that right there. This is how much richer we were before versus now. On the big end, it still gets rich. I'm gonna have to pull some fuel out of there as we tune. But I don't know if there's going to be much more power to be had. My main concern is just getting those air fuels right. We're going to give both a shot. Alright, we done went to lunch, came back, finished this thing. Not gonna spend all day on it. It's nothing extravagant, but 119 was our peak numbers, 105 for torque. That green pull was our last pull. Air fuels are solid all the way across, all the way to red line. She's there. But that's a wrap on this thing. I'm gonna unstrap it. We're done. Bye. K24A2 swap and an 04 RSX was dropped off to me this morning to fix a nitrous problem. No power to the bottle heater or the nitrous solenoid. Got it resolved. It was a relay issue with some broken wires, some broken relay that got crunched up underneath the back seat. So I'm gonna strap this thing down. We've tuned this one in the past on motor and attempted to tune it a couple times on nitrous. The nitrous has always had issues. Maybe today we can make this happen fine. Give it some good old N2O. Alright, we got this one in. Jeremy's about to finish the clutch job in it. It showed up with the clutch demolished from the transmission locking up, and they were still trying to drive it. So it needed a trans and a clutch. Alright, that's our base pull. I tuned this probably a year ago, maybe over it. But the TPS issue had issues. I mean, the TPS had issues the first pull. I didn't tell you that prior. But yeah, I had to fix the TPS, but I think it's still acting up, so I think I'm gonna have to replace it. But at least they allowed me to make a full pull this time. A full pull, 218 to the tire, 171 torque. Air fuels aren't too horrible. But I believe this is where my TPS messed up. We're gonna tend to that and we'll be back. New TPS sensor. It's got the K to B swap, but them B series will still fuck up from time to time. She's fixed. Let's see what she does this go around. I'm not gonna change nothing on the tune. I'm just gonna make sure everything's still the same with the TPS reading correctly. Let's give it a shot. A little richer that time. So I'm gonna pull some fuel out of it. It's only on the high cam. 219 for that power that time, but I guess now we gotta tune it. Everything's mechanically sound finally. Alright, air fuels are good that time. The green line is still wavy, still a little choppy, but they're close enough to turn the nitrous on. I don't know what we have in here right now. I think it's a little 50 shot. I'm gonna start with that, but he's giving me the jets for 100 shot, so that's what we'll end up with. Got the heater blanket on. I'm gonna give it a minute. We're gonna try the nitrous. There is a chance it won't work because he said when he dropped the car off, the bottle warmer was not working and the nitrous was not working. I believe I've got both fixed. I haven't really tested nitrous solenoid, but what I found with the wiring, pretty sure I resolved this, so we're just going to give it a try. Nitrous pull must be a 75 shot in there. We jumped up quite a bit. That pull was 288 for power and 250 for torque. It held it. Was a little abrupt lean spot right when VTEC came in, but other than that, she was still rich. So I'm gonna add some fuel here, leave it rich up top, because I'm gonna change the jetting to 100 shot. We're gonna go from there. While I've been working the bugs out of that RSX in there, Jeremy got the clutch done in this SI. I got to put a Flash Pro on it and she'll be ready to send. So we're still lean that time, but I figured it out. Gonna have to resort back to the old jets. That was 316 that pull, 277 for torque. Problem is, she still got a lean spot right here. They got back rich on the big end. Fuel pressure drops and it cannot recover. I don't know what fuel pumps in this car. It's still got the returnless fuel system and all that, but it needs some fuel upgrades before he can run that 100 shot. So I'm gonna resort back to the other jets real quick, go back over that and make sure everything's a-okay, and we're gonna be done, it sounds like. Probably be back for one more pull on the old jets. All right, I swapped the jets around. Hopefully this will be our last pull. Be back where we were at. If the air fuels are good, we're done. That last pull was the brown pull. Our air fuels are good. Got rid of that lean spot on that yellow pull. Gets a little richer up top, but we're gonna leave her be. Final numbers are 287 for power and 258 for torque. Let me answer that phone. We got this all back together this morning. I'll get it on the dyno sometime this weekend or next week when she's back going again. No more broken belt, no more fucked up pulley, no more loose bolts. All right, it's later in the week. We got the S2000 on. Tuning this one on AEM V2. I failed to do the base pull on the camera, but it looked like we had a slight issue. Here's what we have. First pull, 334. It says that's on, well, that's, it reads high, so we got 12 PSI. Here's the problem. Boost had a dip at the top. I'm gonna do the same exact pull and see if this changes or stays the same. It could have been tire slip. I'm not positive. last pull, looking over the log and realized the RPM, the limiter, was too low. So I raised it back up to stock. Power is rolling over. That was roughly 14 PSI. Air fuels are a little better. I need to get out this ridge spot, that ridge spot, and that ridge spot. But I think once I get these air fuels straightened out, I'm gonna leave her be. I think the power's good enough on a stock exhaust. Normally these do put out close to 400 or over 400, but like I say, this one's choked up. It's all stock besides the Kraftwerks kit and a header. Air fuels are not much better. Did pull some out up here, but I didn't go quite enough. Make a bigger change this next go around, speed things up. But that pull was 355 to the tire and 217 for torque. Let's get back to it. Better that go around. Just a little touching up to do. Power hadn't changed much still. 352 to the tire for power and 220 for torque. My puller 2 will be done. That's going to be our last pull. Final numbers are 362 for power, 220 for torque. Ended up on 14 PSI. Air fuels are good. We're done. I am going to go over part throttle. That's it on this one.